Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
The season finale of the season finds us here at Virginia International Raceway, a historic track in the eastern coast of the United States, and the not better place in the world to be able to have a season finale. Tricky, technical, and fast and flowing at the same time. VIR is a track that is loved by drivers and fans alike. Hello everyone, and welcome to the season finale of the iRacing Israel League. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth by Dane Baird, with our director and producer Sam Fitzpatrick behind the scenes. And Dane, this is a track really and truly we're overtaking. Not the easiest to be able to get done around here. A couple of good areas, but more than anything, it is a place about keeping all four tires on the black stuff and minimizing those mistakes.
Yeah, and those mistakes incredibly easy to make. Not only is it a pretty difficult course to get used to in the first place, it is probably the least used road course on all of iRacing. I don't know why. It's a fantastic circuit. I absolutely love driving around it. But for some reason, it just is not used that often in iRacing competition, both in leagues and in official series. This week, for some reason, it's used in both, which is fantastic. But it means the drivers have very little experience around the circuit. It is a tricky circuit to get the hang of, and as you said, not a whole load of good overtaking opportunities around this place. So I think as a lot of the races this season have been for the drivers, it looks like it will be a race of attrition more than anything else.
Yeah, it certainly will. And just to remind you, the way that we're going to get around here is we're going to have two 20-lap heat races as they go, trying to be able to get themselves around here. And drivers out on track right now for a qualifying session. It does look like John Chico is going to be leading the way over Yaron and Gabay right now. Shirkov and Sherling rounding out the top five for that pro category. Back down in the AMS, it's going to be Sir and then Zubarov, who's able to get that jump right up ahead. Mark Zubarov able to put in a very good time there over Sir. As said, Sure, and last, rounding out the rest of the field there. We still have about 4 or 5 drivers yet to put a time down on the board right now as they come their way out of that final corner there, coming down out of Hogpen onto the front straightaway. We watch really Sir trying to improve on his time. Doesn't look like he is, but excuse me, yes he is. He's going to find himself up into the top of the AM category, as well as Ruben Chacha putting in a good time to be able to go P2.
Yeah, and the drivers, yeah, as you said, a couple of drivers not quite setting lap times. Whether or not they're not got round the circuit yet, or if they get those 1Xs, it's incredibly easy to do here. You got the grass verges surrounding almost the entire circuit, so if you get a couple wheels off the circuit, it does just pull you out wide at the grass here at VIR. So yeah, definitely a possibility for drivers to just invalidate all of their lap time for getting those 1x's. Also, as we saw in last season more than this season so far, but the incident limit could be a factor here in these races. They're quite short, but with a circuit where running wide is quite probable and getting those 1x's is quite easy, we might just see a couple of drivers getting those penalties and having to go down into the pit lane.
Yeah, we may indeed, and at a place like this, it's very, very easy to pick up some of those off tracks, particularly coming down through the Snake, through the Rising S's, into that area. But there are plenty of corners that if you get it wrong, you're going to find yourself well off the track, and an off track is going to be the least of your concerns, as we see Tal Stern there braking a little bit, pulling back off on his qualifying, does wrap itself up here around VIR. And that means we are ready to go racing here for race 1, and that is going to bring us right ahead into the qualifying order for this race. It's going to be John Chico starting off in pole position, followed by Ruven Chacha with Nadav Yaron there in P3 and Yosika Bey in P4. It's going to be Dmitry Shirkov there in P5, followed by the first of your AM drivers, really, sir. Tal Stern lines up in 7th, followed by Michael Scherling. Then it's going to be Mark Zubarev, followed by Amir Hesed, Berdy Galili, and Eden Shear up in rounding out the top 12. Down in 13th place, it looks like it's going to be Dror Last, followed by Ofer Mazuz, rounding out your 14-car grid here. A little bit of a smaller grid compared to what we're used to seeing, but kind of as you said earlier, Dane, this is a track that's really love it or hate it. There are plenty of drivers that absolutely adore this place, and for others, it's a little bit of a pain to kind of learn. It's very tricky, very long, and it can be a little bit daunting.
Yeah, definitely can. I mean, I absolutely love doing hot laps around the circuit, but I, like many people, probably wouldn't touch an official race here. I don't think I trust myself to do a full-length race around the circuit without making a mistake, and I think for that reason I probably just wouldn't do one. But yeah, it is a tricky circuit to learn. A lot of blind corners as well. It's something that you can't massively see that easily from the TV cameras, but coming around some of these corners, you really cannot see what's coming up next. So as someone trying to learn the circuit, it can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it can be incredibly difficult indeed as we jump around here, jumping on board with Ofer Mazuz right now as he is going to be lining up shotgun on the field. There is the view from John Chico's front fender there, looking out at the front. The run down here into that first corner, into Horseshoe. One of the few overtaking opportunities that we really will see here on the track as Chico gets on going. The other primary overtaking opportunity is going to be going down into roller coaster off of the back straightaway. As we take a look here at that chopper view of the whole circuit, you can get a sense that you can get that move done down into Horseshoe. Probably the easiest one, as going into roller coaster, little bit tight, little bit tricky to get the move done. So look for the main overtaking here into turn 1.
Yep, the other long straight on the circuit goes into a section of sweepers. So not the easiest place to make a move stick unless you can get pretty much ahead before you reach those corners. Then you get into the rest of the first sector, and this is where it can get incredibly tricky because you want to carry as much speed as possible, but you touch the grass on the outside and it's going to pull you out all the way. You can see a massive amount of runoff there and then into those tire barriers as well, and it's very difficult to get the car going back in the direction that you want it to once you run out wide there. A really tricky couple of corners here. They are so much slower than you think they're going to be when you're coming around them for the first couple of times. So you really have to get the car slowed down nice and slow so you can actually make your way through the corners. And then here, probably my favorite part of the circuit, just through up and down through the S's, a fantastic bit of corners there. And then into some more S's as well. There's very few long, straight parts of the circuit, a lot of tight left, right sweepers.
Yeah, indeed, and they really have a good flow into one another, and it's one of those areas of the track here as we look through the Rising Snake right now that you exit out of the S's there into this part of the track. If you mess up the entry into just even the first part of this, you're going to find yourself having to massively check up, back yourself off a little bit, and try to get everything right again. It's going to be very, very hard to be able to get that done, but these drivers, I'm sure, here in the iRacing Israel League, going to be able to master that as they now bring their way up here and bring into a corner that is frankly deceptively tricky coming up through South Bend there. You can see it in the background. That is a corner that can really throw you off. And then here into the world-famous Oak Tree corner there. Oak Tree, unfortunately, did fall a number of years ago. That is no longer there in real life, but there is the son of Oak Tree, as they say. They took an acorn from it and planted it on the outside of the circuit and hoping to be able to grow that back, but the corner and the corner name still remain the same.
Yep, and a couple of sad things like that. I think there's the tree at Snetterton. I think Sam and the production booth might be able to confirm this for me, but there's a tree on the outside of Montreal Hairpin at Snetterton as well, which is now gone. Yep, scary tree. It is a scary tree. It looks like a person. It's really creepy. But I think it got hit by lightning or got damaged in a storm or something like that, and it's no longer there, and that's really sad. But it's preserved as well in iRacing. They built the scary tree when they laser scanned the circuit. A couple of really awesome things like that. So yeah, we'll see the drivers making their way through the final couple of corners now. Such a tricky part of the circuit. Another couple of blind corners where you can't see the rest of the circuit as you're going over the apex.
No, you certainly can't, and you've got to be very, very careful, as here we see Cha-Cha and Chico backing up the field here, getting ready to come to the green flag, coming down now out of Hogpen, and immediately there goes John Chico on the loud pedal, and we are racing in VIR. It is a monster start there for that McLaren, being able to get away and crossing over the start-finish line to get going. The number 04 going to have a good lead, a little bit of a battle there in for third place between Yaron and Gabay before they get into the braking zone here for the horseshoe. The number 11, that's Michael Scherling trying to be a little bit aggressive there on Zubarev, trying to get down into horseshoe as well. A battle of dueling McLarens. They now bring their way up through NASCAR Bend, and they sort themselves out into single file. I think that's going to be the story of today. You see a lot of aggression there through that first corner. Oh, but here through left hook, there's a little bit of a look back from the number 11 of Tal Stern. Not going to be able to get it done, and now they have to go single file as that's a Mercedes spinning around. That's Shirkov.
Yep, and around he goes and right to the back of the field and has to try and turn around that Mercedes. Does actually a really good job there of getting the car turned around and back underway again just before they reach the S's. A very tricky part of the circuit there, and just tapping the grass on the exit. I said those corners are really slow and you have to get the car nice and slow before you reach them. If you don't, that's what's going to happen to you. Unfortunately, the car's going to spin around on you the second that you run wide and touch that grass. But around the right-hander, so tricky to get the car back onto the power there. A little bit of a crest on the apex, on the exit of the corner, sorry. Now down the long straight section. This looks like it would be fantastic for overtaking until you see the corner that it leads straight into.
Yeah, exactly. As they work their way here towards Roller Coaster, we watch John Chico bringing that car along, and here it comes down into this braking zone, hard onto the brakes, and then the little flick there, you can see that it is completely blind in a right-left complex that really doesn't promote as much side-by-side as you would like. Jumping back down in the field a little bit more, here is really Sir, as he tries to be able to keep his way ahead. That's going to be Michael Scherling in between himself and the second AM driver there of Zubarev. And now Tal Stern able to get that done as Zubarev has had it off coming down through Hogpen.
Yeah, the Mercedes going off, and as I said earlier, trying to get that car turned around and back towards the circuit whilst you're on the grass is especially difficult, and all the way down to the end he'll join Skirov there, who spun earlier on. So we'll see a replay of just what happened here going through the final couple of corners. Was there some contact, or was it just a bit of a wide run through the last corner up onto the curb? Just going a bit wide there.
Yeah, just going a bit wide there, and I can tell you that when I was here earlier this year, I saw many a driver in the GT4 category doing exactly that. Hogpen really invites you to get onto the throttle a little bit early, and if you do that, you pick up that understeer, and it just shoots you out to the outside of the track and picks up the off track and spits you back out again. But we follow here Tal Stern, second place down in the AM category right now as he works his way around trying to close in on Michael Scherling and Ridley Sir up ahead. But meanwhile, up in the front of the field, John Chico starting to build a little bit of a gap. It's about 9/10 of a second here, but that's not nearly enough breathing room, I think, that he would like between Ruben Cha-Cha. And let's not count out here Nadav Yaron, who's also being able to keep up very close there in that McLaren. Another good battle here with Ridley Sir and Michael Scherling. We were talking about that a little earlier ago.
Yeah, and I think we might be able to see a little bit of side-by-side here as the 200 definitely closing in. John Chico right up at the front, getting some good lap times, and I think he told us earlier, 2 weeks ago, that he's actually driven around the circuit, not raced, but driven on a track day around the circuit in the real world, and that's pretty much the only way that you're going to get a move done into that corner. It's the other driver backing out as you edge ahead in towards the braking zone, shutting back up into 5th place overall there.
Yes, indeed, he was. As we go back to check out a replay here, this is Shirkov having a little bit of an error here. Let's watch here. Oh, just gets on the power a little bit too early, and that spins the car around. That's that incident we saw a little bit earlier.
I thought he went around and touched the grass, but he didn't. He just caught the power a little bit too early, and around the car goes. So unfortunate there for Shirkov, about 6 seconds back to the nearest driver. It's going to be tricky to catch up that gap as a little bit of side-by-side, potentially a big send up the inside for the number 55 there. Is that Scher on Zubrev, or is that last on Scher?
I'm not sure, but there is Zubarov, is a little bit of side-by-side there with the Aston Martins as they come down into the corner. That's last that he's able to get around. Aiden Shear trying to be able to make that move, holding it together there through NASCAR bend and now down through left hook. By the way, that second corner there, third corner, NASCAR bend, literally named because, believe it or not, NASCAR did run here back in the day, and many of the biggest names in NASCAR, including Richard Petty, had an off down into that corner. So that's your little bit of trivia there for the day. But here is Dmitry Shirkov as he tries to be able to close in. Ooh, he backs off there, I think, a little bit as Zubarev trying to be able to get on by him. We focus up further in the field. Here's a little bit of side-by-side coming through Oak Tree.
Yep, and it's Tal Stern, and we're off through the S's up towards Oak Tree. And Shirkov and Zubarev, as Zubarev looking like still off the circuit at the moment. So we'll see where, oh wow, you can see the background of the shot there, coming back over the hill. Zubarev in the background, huge off for Zubarev. As they're side by side here, it's Tal Stern defending for the AM race lead as well. They're gonna go side by side, really trying to make that move work, but can't quite hold on to that AM race lead, and we'll have to settle for second place for the time being.
Have to settle for second place for the time being, but not a whole lot of time here left to be able to go as they continue to work their way around right now. Remember, a 15-minute event out here on the track, so we are about 5-6 minutes down as they go. So only about 9 minutes left to be able to run here for these drivers. They're going to have to book their way around here. Oh, as we've got a big off in the back for Dmitry Shirkov, as that is getting it all kinds of wrong there through Hogpen.
As we see a battle here now, we've got Galili and Hased going side by side and towards the first corner, but Galili in third position then. Up 3 positions from where he started off this race. There are points, of course, for the drivers that gain the most positions during a race, and when you've only got this number of drivers, 14 drivers on the grid, it can be difficult to decide who's actually got that. At the moment, it's Ofer Masuz in 5th place in the AM category, up 4 positions from the last spot on the grid where Ofer started. So currently holding that with 4 positions.
All right, this is the incident that we sort of saw in the background there coming up out of the S's. Michael Scherling, let's see. He's going to bring the car up through South Bend, gets the apex wrong, and that is so easy to do, just running wide there, and he's going to lose a bucket load of time, but able to stay ahead going down into Oak Tree, and this is really what set up that 3-car battle with Tal Stern, and there you can see Ridley Sir trying to be able to take advantage of that as well, as that led to that side-by-side here coming down the back straight away, and just a straight-up drag race.
Yeah, absolutely. And that left-hander at the end, over a crest at the apex. And it reminds me a lot of Hungaroring's turn 4, the quick left-hander. Very similar stuff where you're going through the apex and you cannot see the exit of that corner until you've already well committed past the apex. So a really tricky part of the circuit to get right, and also a really crucial one as well, because as you see, if you get it slightly wrong, the track falls away from you on the exit as well. So sliding down that grass hill can be difficult to get the car back, and Scherling did everything right there to get the car ahead and stay ahead of the 2 closing in drivers.
Yes, it does. As we focus here now on Bertie Galili, working his way down through the horseshoe. Nice and easy through there. The field's starting to separate itself out a little bit here in the mid-pack, as I think drivers are really starting to prioritize car control and keeping all 4 tires on the road over anything else here at this point. We've seen so many offs as they go, but the one battle that we have that still rages on here, John Chico and Reuven Chacha up at the front of the field.
And the absolute massive commitment making their way through the S's section. Oh, a bit too much commitment. He's going to hit the wall, surely. A tap of the wall is going to slow him down a little bit, but he's going to lose that second position there. Down to 3rd place now. He gets the car stopped. He will have some slight damage. I think he's just about got away with that. He can't get back onto the circuit, though. This is what I was talking about. It's so hard to get back onto the track once you're on the grass on the outside. Just dip to the rear wheel into the grass on the exit of the difficult left-hander we've seen a couple drivers now struggle with. Over to the left-hand side of the circuit he went and just managed to get the slightest touch of the barrier, but that could have ended so much worse for him.
Yeah, it certainly could have. As we check out the replay here from the number 42, this is coming up through South Bend right now. Gets it on over there, and I think just a little bit of a touch of the grass there at the outside, and that's really what we've talked about a couple of times there. You pick up just the slightest bit of understeer coming up through South Bend, and that'll really throw you out and spit you out there. You can see Chacha almost able to get the car back onto the black stuff there coming out of Oak Tree, but had to regain it back up under him. Lucky to be able to continue on here in 4th place. That could have been a much, much bigger incident.
Yeah, it really could have. Great car control to actually get the car pointing back in the right direction initially, and then just a small glance of the barrier, but then just so nearly getting the car back onto the circuit on the right-hander, but then car just pushing wide ever so slightly as well. So difficult to get the car back onto the track, but does still keep that 4th position. Still fantastic points in the championship, that 4th place at the moment, especially with a couple of the drivers that he would be fighting with in the championship not here for this season finale. So Chacha looking good for that title, it seems.
Yeah, certainly does.
A nice lead behind him now, though, actually, after Chacha putting some good pressure on him throughout the opening 10 minutes of the race.
That's a good call there, as things may change themselves around just a little bit, but we've got a battle here, an interclass battle right now between Sherling and Tal Stern, as Tal Stern tries to close up behind. Looked like Reuven Chacha had a little bit of it off up ahead of him, but oh, that's Sherling going off there around Oak Tree, I don't know, or around South Bend. I don't know how he was able to keep that underneath him, but kept the McLaren pointed the right way. The number 200, very, very lucky.
Didn't have to slow down all that much either, just sort of kept on going as if it was still tarmac. Tal Stern now much, much closer, though, as they make their way through this part of the circuit where he gained the AM race lead. Won't be wanting to throw that away, so I guess will be quite cautious with Sherling in front of him now. As Sherling was a little bit deep, and here comes the 11 right up to the rear bumper of the 200. The 2 McLarens battling now through the final couple of corners. They will go, and you expect if he can get close enough, he's definitely going to be having a look now down the main straight and all onto the grass a little bit for Sherling. And yeah, he's in all sorts of trouble. Stern looking to make a move into turn 1.
He's certainly going to try, going to get a big helping of the slipstream here as they come down the main straightaway. He's going to look down to the inside, giving away that idea of the move a little bit, but I think he's just a hair too far back. Still going to kind of chuck it in there. Keep those up to the inside. Not going to be enough, and Michael Sherling doing a great job of just defending that line, holding that out. And let's remind here, only about 3 minutes left to go in this race, so probably only about 2 laps to go there at the line for both of these drivers.
Yep, absolutely. Not too long left for Stern to try and make up that 5th position overall, and he's almost sent up the inside there. He's got on the grass, and he's held onto it somehow. He'll drop his gap between himself and Sherling momentarily, but he's got all over the grass on the inside. The car's got completely sideways, and he's caught that back up very nicely indeed. He's now got a bit of a task on his hands, though, to try and catch back up to the number 200 machine in front through the left-hander. This is where we've seen Sherling go off a couple times already. You can see the tyre marks there on the right-hand side as well.
Yeah, you certainly can, and I think this could be a little bit of a death knell to be able to get away for Tal Stern, but he's still going to be holding on to the top of the AM category, as there you can see Really Sir just kind of peeking his way into the background of the shot right now. There you can also see the rest of that field as they go. A little bit of a close running right now for the final podium position in the pro category with Yosip Gabe and Ruven Chacha in that Mercedes. Chacha certainly being able to charge back up after that little bit of an incident that we saw him have coming up around Oak Tree. We ride on board the side here of the number 42 as he tries to poke his way down through Hogpen, seeing if there's going to be a little bit of a run. Still taking every inch of the track. That was millimeters off as here he lines up for the move. He's going to have to go the long way around Horseshoe as they go down into turn 1, but sometimes that corner can play out and favor the outside line, although it looks like Gabe's going to break a little bit later. Oh, contact!
Yep, Gabe's got a little bit loose there and had to run deep into the corner. And Chacha, of course, on the outside, had absolutely nowhere to go. Runs into the back of him, gets hard onto the brakes at the same time. Almost dead stop for the Mercedes car. And he's lost all of the advantage that he had on Gabe in front. We'll see it from an onboard camera now.
Yeah, and you can see we are hearing that was officially designated as a crash. Yeah, I think he was looking for the crossover there, was Ruven Chacha, and that little bit of looseness there from Gabe just really prevented him from being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, not expecting it as well. Turning in for the corner and just into the back of the McLaren. They'll have, well, I don't think they're going to have much more time to do this. This actually is going to be the last lap for the drivers as well, so we'll see now if these two battles that we see, Gabe and Chacha, 4/10 of a second separating them. And not a whole lot separating these two either, maybe 2 car lengths, but I think Sherling might just have enough to keep this 5th position overall here.
Yeah, coming down into roller coaster, going to be a very, very tricky pass, and considering Tal Stern doesn't look like he's quite got it, as Barney the flagman readies the checkered flag here for John Chico, getting ready to cross over the line as he works his way down through Hogpen, taking a big helping of the curb there, down through the right-hander. He is going to bring that car across, weaving back and forth across the start-finish straight, and that is going to be a win here for the 0-4 of John Chico.
Drag race to the line here between Gabe and Chacha, and it's going to be Gabe who takes that 3rd position as they cross the line. Closely fought battle there, only a 10th of a second in it at the end, and oh, Sherling only just holding on with Tal Stern as well. Tal Stern setting the fastest lap of the race for an amateur driver that time by as well, at 1:55.9, absolutely flying out there.
Yeah, really pushing it along as we watch here. Dmitry Shirkov trying to be able to get his way forward. He's going to finish 6th in class there. Good recovery. Remember, Shirkov had that off a little bit earlier on in the race, so good to see him be able to come. And then we have Mark Zubarev here as he's going to bring his way through Hogpen, the final driver out on the circuit right now, as he's going to come by those famed red buildings here and come across the start-finish line to take the checkered flag, and that is going to round up our coverage here for the first race. But don't worry, don't go anywhere. We've got another 15-minute race ready left to go, and with that, it's going to be an invert of the top 10, so that is going to throw everything around here as drivers start to form their way back up onto the grid. Absolutely no waiting around, as there you can see that final finishing order. Chico from Yaron from Gabe, Ruven Chacha in 4th, and Michael Sherling able to hold on to that battle over Tal Stern. Really Sir there behind him, Berti Galili, Amir Hassad, Offer Mazuz, then Dmitry Shirkov, Eden Shur, Dror Last, and Mark Zubarev rounding out your 14-car grid. As we get our Ray ready here to be able to line up for the second race, another 15-minute race out here, and that is going to see Offer Mazuz lining up in pole position, followed by Amir Hassad, with Berti Galili and Really Sir in the second row. Tal Stern is going to be in 5th place, followed by Michael Sherling, Ruven Chacha, and Yossi Gabe will line up in 8th. Nadav Yaron will be 9th, followed by John Chico with Dmitry Shirkov and Eden Shur behind them in 12th. And then Dror Last and Mark Zubarev will make up the final row of the grid, again with a 10-place inversion here. And Dane, this always makes for some fantastic and fascinating racing to see how these faster drivers are able to work their way back up through the field.
Yeah, and with it being such a tricky circuit, and we've seen a couple of the drivers struggling out there, and not just near the back as well. Michael Sherling not having a great time of it out there, despite holding on to that 5th position overall. Really struggling through the left-hander, going off 3 times during that race, and really lucky to keep it going in a straight line. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how this plays out, but oftentimes we'll see some aggressive driving by the drivers that are now near the back of the grid, that used to be up near the front, as they try to get past the slower drivers that have now been placed in front of them. Especially at a circuit where we don't have good opportunities for overtaking. This could go one of 2 ways. Either it will be absolutely fantastic and we'll see some really good moves being pulled out, or it could end in a little bit of carnage.
Well, let's hope it is the former rather than the latter, but we will have to see. It's going to be very, very tricky. As we said before, the 2 primary overtaking opportunities going down into Horseshoe and then coming down into Roller Coaster, but we did see the prime example of really how to get that move done into Roller Coaster. You want to be able to get the good run off of Oak Tree, get on past, be able to make that move around before you get into the braking zone for that left flick that makes up Roller Coaster. You really don't want to be going side by side through there. So they work their way by the resort there here at VIR. You can actually stay there and stay on site if you come out to visit this Southern Virginia Raceway. It's something I learned earlier this year as they make their way now up through the corner here, up through Oak Tree. Who are you going to be keeping your eye on in this run here, Dane?
I think we're moving Chacha, honestly. John Chico is starting down in 10th position. Chacha just about holding on, just about not being able to get up into 3rd position. I think that he's got an opportunity starting from, I think it's 7th on the grid that he'll be on. It's going to be interesting. He's got a bit of a gap between himself and the really fast guys right up at the front. I think he might be able to take advantage of that in this race, but whether or not John Chico is going to be able to make his way from 10th on the grid all the way back up into the front, that's also going to be really interesting, because he has been absolutely flying out here today so far, and like he told us a couple of weeks ago, has real-world experience driving some road cars around this circuit on track days. I think that he's using that experience very well here.
All right, as we line ourselves up here, coming down through Roller Coaster for the final time on this parade lap, getting ready to come to the green is Offer Mazouz. He will be in prime position and will control the field, keeping it a little bit closer there behind the pace car this time around, as those 2 dueling Aston Martins up at the front of the field will be the ones bringing us to green. The 422 and the 959 as the iRacing pace car pulls off down pit lane, and we get ready for Offer Mazouz to get on the loud pedal, and there he goes. It is green here at VIR. It's a good getaway there for Mazouz, but a little bit of a challenge there for the 959. Ooh, very, very jumbled up there in the mid-pack as they dive down into the Horseshoe for the first time. Down onto the binders, it looks like Mazouz is going to be able to hold that out. Really, sir, looks like behind, able to get a move done, as there's a little bit of a move from the McLaren, being able to put Amir Hased down the order a little bit. That McLaren starting to look strong. Keeping our eye on Reuven Chacha, already up 1 position, as is John Chico up 2, as we've got a spin there in the mid-pack, and somehow, miraculously, everyone avoids as 2 cars are around. That's an Aston Martin in the back of the field, and the McLaren there as well.
It's a 200 machine of Michael Sherling going around in the McLaren, and there's Offer Mazouz. Offer Mazouz off the circuit from that pole position out into the wall on the inside, very similar to what happened to Skirov at the beginning of race number 1, as they go side by side and finally sort themselves out into single file. I was talking about John Chico. Will he be able to make it up through the field from 10th position? He's already up into 4th.
Yeah, he is. He is absolutely booking it on his way through the field, as there we see John closing in behind Really Sir right now. Oh, that's a car off. That's Mark Zubarev coming off through South Bend, and that's going to be a little bit of contact into Oak Tree.
888 on the inside. Dmitry Skirov cannot get any luck in these opening laps of the races. Here we're going to see a move now, as you see the McLaren making his way through. It's Michael Sherling trying to get alongside and ahead of Mark Zubarev, but out in front, Tal Stern and Bertie Galili. Tal Stern going to take the lead of the race once again into Roller Coaster. Oh, the McLaren's off into the grass, will run wide, and that there goes through Really Sir, or tries to anyway, as they're side by side through these couple of corners now. They eventually sort themselves out It's still an amateur 1-2-3, and John Chico still sitting just behind in that 4th place.
Yes, and I've got to think Chico is going to be on a move here and there. Indeed, he's going to poke his nose to the inside of Really Sir as they come down the front stretch right now, trying to be able to get his way on by. There they go. We ride on board with John Chico as he sets the fastest lap in the pro category down to the inside of Horseshoe. He's going to be able to get that move done quick as you please, and now has Bertie Galili clearly in his sights.
Absolutely flying early runners, always spin in the background, and it's Amir Hesed in the 959 Aston Martin. Dropping down the field there now, and I think everyone managed to avoid him through the first couple of corners as there goes the move as Chico on Galili. Oh, and they're spinning in the background, a double spin, a bit of contact is made as well. Surin, you're run off, but Chico managing to get up into 2nd position overall, now has a sight on the race lead.
Yes, he does, and if he's able to take a double victory here around a circuit that is so difficult to pass on, I've got to say I will be very, very impressed with him. We focus here on Really Sir able to recover from that incident there, that double spin, unfortunately. There is the gap between Tal Stern and John Chico. Let's call that about 1 second here as they work their way through. Oak Tree is, oh, that was Michael Scherling way off in the background. Dmitry Shirkov trying to work his way through the best as he can, but Scherling very, very lucky to be able to keep all 4 tires back onto the black stuff after running a little bit wide through South Bend.
As they all make their way through now, single file, a little bit of calm in the midst of all of this chaos that we've been seeing.
And this is going to be the replay here with Michael Scherling as he tries to get everything together. Did he get a little how you doing from behind? Yes, he did. There it is, and Scherling going to have to be able to re-rack the car there. Here, as Amir has said, that's a bit of a strange incident there for him. Almost looks like a slowdown penalty that he had to serve getting out of the way. And then all of that coming together there with the 17. That is not going to be the easiest way to go, and that's going to set up a real logjam back farther in the field on that replay. But we jump back to live pictures here as Scherling continues to try to march his way through the field. He's got Zubarev directly up ahead of him now that he's trying to pass.
Yep, Scherling after a spin early on in the race, a couple of other incidents going on. He's managed to sneak his way back up into that 6th position overall, 7th position overall, sorry. Still 4 positions down from where he started the race, and will be wanting to get back up a little bit further on this field and trying to get past Zubarev there ahead.
We check back a replay here of Bertie Galili as he works his way down through. Whoo! That was a big spin coming down through Hogpen. Not entirely sure what caused that. It looks like he may have gotten onto the inside curbing there, and that just sent the car spinning around, not able to get full grip there. But here we've got a nice little battle. This is the battle for the overall lead right now. Tal Stern leading the way, but John Chico already able to erase that 1 second deficit, and I've got to say it's just a matter of time here before Chico is able to get that move done. He's going to tuck up in the draft here down the back straightaway, going to look to what will be the inside of the first part of Roller Coaster. You've got to be brave to try to get this move done, and it certainly looks like John Chico is going to have that bravery. Comes down into the braking zone, later onto the binders, and easy as you please, John Chico back up into the lead.
Almost like he never left it. The speed that he's made his way through this field, up 9 places from 10th on the grid in just over 5 minutes as well. Brilliant performance from the 04. And, well, the person that I thought we should take a look at is Ruben Chacha. You can see just about the distance of the shot, made his way up to the 3rd position. But John Chico, absolutely incredible stuff. And whilst making the overtake as well, by the way, setting the fastest lap of the race of a 155.0.
That's some very, very impressive stuff there for John Chico, just to be able to do that. Obviously helped a little bit by the draft, I would have to imagine, but nevertheless, a very, very good run for that number 04 machine. We now watch Ruben Chacha, 2nd place in that pro category as he tries to work his way forward. The gap between himself and Stern here at this point is about 4 seconds, so he's got a lot of room to try to make up here in the closing, let's call it 8.5 minutes minutes left to go in this race, but he's also going to have to worry about a little bit of an attack from behind. But we focus back here on Zubarev, second place in the pro category, or in the AM category right now, trying to be able to close in on Mark Scherling. Not too far off the back here is Aiden Shearer as well.
They're going through these S's there. And this is where we've seen Scherling go off a couple times so far today. He's trying to carry a little bit too much speed. And you see how dangerous that is when you've got the grass on the outside. Oh, and he's done it again here into Oak Tree. And round goes Scherling to a complete stop. Going to lose a couple places here.
Yes, he is, and that's going to be Michael Scherling down the order into 9th overall. And I got to say, Dave, that was some pretty fantastic commentator's curse there from you, just talking about going to the outside and catching the grass.
My sincerest apologies to Michael Scherling. It's been a while since I've done that, actually. It's been a long while since I've done that, as we see some side-by-side action into roller coaster. And Aiden Shearer off the circuit. Really Shearer's going to get by, and is he going to keep it out of the wall? No, he's not. Little tap to the barrier, but should be able to get back on with not too many problems there.
Ooh, and a little bit of an off there for Ruben Cha-Cha as well, coming down out of Hog Pen. Looks like he's able to keep it together there and keep Yossi Gabe behind him, but Gabe is going to be trying to close up behind. He did lose second, we are hearing, to Tal Stern, so that is... lost a second, excuse me. Lost a second in time up to Tal Stern, so that is not going to be good news there for him.
Now has a little bit of added pressure as well as the bright green racing machine of Yossi Gabai is up behind him. There's a bit of contact being made, and a couple of blocks being made there as well. It's Aiden Shearer. Oh, I can't help but think, does he have a bit more damage than we thought on that left rear? He's going incredibly slowly and really tentatively getting onto the power. Looks like that car is crabbing a bit, and yeah, off wide again. I think he's got a bit of damage from that tap with the wall that he just had.
Yeah, if you look there on the left rear of that car, you can see that the wheel looks like it's sticking out a little bit more than it should. I think that's some bodywork damage potentially, and maybe some steering damage. Oh, he's making things very hard for Bernie Galili, trying to keep that car pointed the right way, though.
Yep, Galili getting a bit spooked out there, it seems. He's trying to go around the outside, and then all of a sudden a bit loose. Goes Aiden Shearer, and now through the S section, going to be incredibly challenging to keep the car going in a straight line. Only 5 minutes left for him to keep it going on the circuit, but proving quite challenging with the damage. We can see there a little bit wide and missing the apex there now for the number 2 as well. Just the slightest of mistakes going side by side into roller coaster. It's so easy to do though. Just running a little bit deep on the brakes, quite a little bit of misjudgment of the corner, tapping the grass on the inside of the right hander there, and then off into the wall he went. So unfortunate stuff there. But out in front, look at this, 5 minutes to go, and John Chico with a massive lead already.
Yeah, it's 2.7 seconds right now as he crosses over the line. And as you said, with about 5 minutes left to go, that's probably 3 laps or so around this circuit as they are putting in about times of 1 minute 55 seconds. That seems to be the best. But Chico just is dialed in on this circuit, has absolutely everything to do. And there you can see the gap just expanding almost exponentially here over Tal Stern.
And the gap between them and Ruben Cha-Cha not decreasing too much either. Since Cha-Cha's small off, still 6.3 seconds there. You'll see the gap there. As he starts to close in a little bit more.
All right, as we focus here on Tal Stern, that second place driver right now. Ooh, off tracks in the background there for Ruben Cha-Cha as he tries to hustle his way up ahead, just picking up a few of those little offs there for him. Looks like he's been able to gather it up back under him, but that just shows you coming up through the Rising Snake how difficult it can be to keep everything together.
Yep, absolutely. These drivers have had 2 weeks to start preparing for this race and still making these small errors that we don't usually see from the drivers, just the lack of experience at the circuit, making things that much more difficult for them. Michael Scherling there, making his way through Oak Tree. Again, a little bit of a gap between him and the cars in front, and big gap to the car behind, so he's just looking and trying to make some moves up at the moment. Still a McLaren-dominated field, though. We saw a lot of Mercedes for the last couple of weeks, and now we've got McLarens here at VIR. The drivers all... most of them a majority of them usually picking one of the McLaren or the Mercedes, depending on the characteristics of the circuit.
Yes, indeed, and it does look like that. The Aston Martin's not particularly doing well here today, and the Porsche really looking to be in some dire straits, it has to be said. That 718 came in not exactly the favored car this season. Hopefully maybe get a little bit of a BOP adjustment for the next season, or at least that is the hope here on iRacing as everything works its way around right now. We watch Michael Scherling as he brings that car down through. Oh! Dmitry Shirkov with a big off down in a NASCAR bend.
Yep, and all the way around. I don't think he's hit the wall on the outside, but you can get a very good view of the cars making their way straight towards him. Drops down to 5th position in the AM category. Unfortunately, 8th place overall as well. Remember, points being scored overall in this championship, so the Pro and the AM drivers still do fight over the same points allocation. So Talstern up in 1st position in the AMs. He doesn't get points for 1st in the AMs, he gets points for 2nd overall, and that is really important for him in the AM Championship as well, as we see exactly what happened to Dmitry Skirov now.
Yes, it is. I think he just brought a little bit too much speed, touched that outside grass, and that was just enough to send him around through NASCAR bend, and able to get the car back up underneath him, and kudos there for a safe rejoin. So often here at VIR, you see drivers that are in such a hurry to get back on the track that they get themselves into a little bit of an unsafe rejoin, but Dmitry able to get that car pointed the right way in the right fashion. We check back here on John Chico, though, as he brings his way down through Hogpen, I believe, coming to the white flag here from Barney the Flagman.
Yep, it will be about a 2-minute lap time here, and it looks like 1.5 minutes left in the race. A flash of the headlights as he makes his way through. Hopefully he doesn't think it's the last lap of the race, and that is the race over. We've seen that a couple of times, both in iRacing and in the real world as well. I think earlier on this season, the Moto3 rider in MotoGP calendar just stopping after winning the race. I thought he won the race, his home race at Barcelona Catalonia circuit as well. So Chico carrying on then, luckily not slowing down at this point. But yeah, less than a minute left for the drivers, just got to get their way around nice and cleanly. You can see Chachas caught up quite a bit to Talstern over the last couple of laps. Talstern just about holding on to that 2nd place as it stands.
Yeah, everything getting a little bit spread out here in race 2. Not a lot of super close battles that we keep our eye on, but Stern definitely has to keep his eyes ahead of him because Reuven Chacha is a very quick driver. Again, taking very aggressive liberties there with the curbing coming up at the beginning of the Rising Snake as he goes. We flick our way back down through the field. Mark Zubarev here as he is able to bring everything around, trying to be able to go. Really Sir as well. And there goes Michael Scherling. A couple of these drivers taking a lot more liberties with the grass than I know I certainly would, but it seems to be working for them, so I can't fault them too much.
Yep, grass is pretty much a driver's #1 enemy on iRacing. With the current way it's modeled, very easy to just completely lose the rear end of your car if you even get a thought of touching it. As you make your way through the S's there, really, you can kind of have to touch it to get nice and quick through there. But round the final corner comes John Chico.
Yes, he does. Already flashing the headlights there, and enough of an advantage that he can slow down a little bit and take a party celebration as he comes to the line. A victory here on the day for John Chico, and there it is. Victory number 2 for Chico. A great run. Talstern, Reuven Chacha coming on behind them. A little bit of a close battle here in the back. This is Nadav Yaron just getting past Hased there, down into the roller coaster. A gutsy move to finish out the race there for the number 22.
Yep, and a good place to get that move done as well. The driver in 6th position in that in the pro category, sorry. Getting up into that position there, 9th overall, and a little bit sideways there at the end. The drivers go the wrong way around the blue cone and damaging the car unnecessarily at the end of the race, and a couple of them just having a bit of fun. Massive runoff area on the left of the main straight there. Bit of an odd place to put a whole bunch of grass with the barriers quite far away, but they're definitely important with the drivers safety. Loads of runoff at VIR, but all of it grass, so it doesn't really do a whole lot here on iRacing.
No, it certainly does not. And let's go ahead and run you through the final finishing order there for Race 2. Once again, it was John Chico taking victory over Tal Stern, Reuven Chacha, Yossi Gabe, and Mark Zubarev rounding out your top 5. In 6th place, it was really Sir Michael Scherling, followed by Dmitry Shirkov, and then Nadav Yaron and Amir Hased in 10th. Bertie Galili was 11th, followed by Eden Schur, Dror last, and Offer Mazuz, rounding out your 14-car grid. And folks, that is unfortunately going to pretty much round out our season here for the day, year. That is the completion of the iRacing Israel League here on iRacing, and it's a bit sad to see it go. But before we do indeed have a couple of interviews to get to. First and foremost with Mr. John Chico, as we bring him up into the booth. John, victory there. That's got to feel pretty good. How you feeling when taking victory here at such a tricky track?
Well, I can't say it feels bad. I mean, man, everything clicked like crazy with this track, this car. I don't know. You know, it's a kind of perfect storm kind of thing. This track.
Well, is this one that you'd really been able to work on before and be able to play with, or was this kind of the first time you've been here to VIR?
So, no, I've been to VIR I've done it in real life. The last race session we had, I mentioned that I did it in a Fox Body Mustang, so we're built for track. So I don't know what kind of an experience that got me and, you know, how good of a learning car that was. But maybe it helped. But yeah, it just fit perfectly.
Well, it obviously fit perfectly for you, and this is the conclusion of the season, sadly. But I got to ask you, when we see you all back and in the next season, any place you're maybe looking at going? Any goals that you have for the season? Anything like that?
Well, just like in real life, every time they ask me this question, all I want to do is beat myself. So as far as I can, as long as I can beat my previous record or whatever, that's where I'm going. I mean, last season I think I finished 3rd, or I missed out on 3rd. I don't remember. But anyway, I'm moving up slowly but surely. But yeah, it was a crazy season. Reuven Roman is crazy fast. Yari's fast. Rem's fast. Everybody's fast. Everybody's getting faster. So I had to up my game for these 2 last races, and yeah, worked at it. Did about, I don't know, 200 laps or whatever on it. So yeah, it paid off.
Well, it clearly did for you, my friend. But as for today, as for the season, is there anybody you want to thank for a double win here today and a great season overall?
From Sim Race, Amir Meshulam for his telemetry software, our sponsors Simple and Grip, and everybody that took part in this season. I think we really went up a level as far as the quality of racing, and it was great. So, and thanks a lot to you guys also for taking the time to broadcast this and interviews and stuff. And yeah, thank you all.
Well, thank you, John. Congratulations on the day, and we'll hopefully see you next season.
Sure will. Thank you guys.
All right, that was John Chico there, your victor here on the day, running a great campaign across the board. And Dane, I'm waiting for anybody else to come in and join us, but it looks like that's the only one, sadly.
Yeah, now I'm looking forward to the next season of the iRacing Israel League. What they love to do is they always change it up. Last season we ran touring cars. I remember back to the first season was the first season that we broadcast on Apex Racing TV, season 2 of it, the first big season. They went from Skippies in season 1, which was like a 1 race a day for a week, back in 2020 when everything was shut down. Then they moved on to the GT4s, then the Porsche, when the Porsche was the new car on the block. They moved on to that, and I think this is the first time they've gone back to GT4s, and the racing has been fantastic this whole season, as it was in the touring cars last season as well. I wonder what they're going to do for the next season, season 9 of the championship. I think it's definitely going to be interesting, but yeah, I cannot wait for the next season. This season in the GT4s has been absolutely fantastic.
It certainly has, and it has been our absolute pleasure here on Apex Racing TV to be able to bring you that action here. But sadly, that is going to wrap things up for us for today and for the season as a whole. So on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, Dane Baird, and our director and producer, Sam Fitzpatrick, it has been a pleasure to bring you all of the racing action for today and for the season. We will be back for next season, and until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.